Shankar, Chief City Engineer, Municipal Corporation, Navi Mumbai. Mr. Srinath P. Venkatesan, Vice President, Smarter Planet Solutions, IBM. Mr. Avinash Patil, Deputy Director of Town Planning. And Mr. Daljit Singh, Senior Manager, Meritrack. For this session, I would request Mr. Rajiv Vaishnav, Vice President, NASSCOM, Mumbai, to kindly moderate the session. And since we are short of time, I would just request him to have a small panel discussion so that we all know what these eminent personalities are actually doing at the fields. Over to you, sir.
Hello. Very good evening. There is a concept in Japan called JIT, just in time. And there was a foreigner who was talking to us and, some similar situation. And we said, we too have a similar concept in India. It doesn't, we don't call it JIT, we call it shit, somehow in time. So we are trying to kind of one session delay, so that's okay. We are trying to make it as quickly, we'll wind up the day as soon as possible because we are all very eager to receive the awards and to see who are the awardees. So, urban governance and infrastructure, very important subject. Unfortunately, at the last session, is a very, very challenging subject also for all of us because lot to talk about it, lot to say about it, but limited time. And we have some very eminent personalities who are from the government who are actually hands-on as far as urban governance and infrastructure is concerned. We are also having some friends from industry. So without wasting time, I would request Srinath to briefly, and now all of us know that the time is the essence here. So in minimum words, the maximum impact, over to you, Srinath.
Excuse me.
Thanks.
Yeah, good evening friends. I think as Rajiv said, end of the day, and I think we're waiting for the awards function, so I'll try to be a little brief. So pardon me for skipping a number of slides which were actually planned here, but I can elaborate any points in the Q&A session if required. So what was originally planned was covering 4 areas, but I'll cover the first area and then move to the third area because the second area is something that we may not have time to cover during the course of the session today. So I'll try to focus on how cities essentially have a number of objectives that they can go after. But here I'd like to focus on 2 specific objectives and what leads from that in terms of what can be done using technology to make them smarter cities, to be able to use technology as an enabler for those. So essentially, how can cities use technology for economic growth and for improving the quality of life of citizens? So looking at the various systems that are there, I've tried to list down the 5 most important areas that a city has, which are of great consideration, great importance to the economic growth as well as quality of life. Transport, the area of public safety, health, energy and water. So these are 5. I mean, the area of government services is very vast and encompassing all of these, but if you look at them in discrete areas, these 5 are possibly the most important from the point of view of the... So, transport is one, congestion is a big problem. We all know that traffic in Mumbai is growing 4 times faster than the number of people. The number of people is growing very fast, traffic is growing 4 times faster than that. So a number of things can be done using technology to make the area of easing congestion. A number of technology available that we have worked on around the world, which has some relevance, some of them can be implemented. Second area, which is possibly the most significant from the point of view of citizens and companies. Companies use the safety and the political situation in an area as key determinants to either establish base or to move out of that place. And as you can see, crime and poor public safety are deterrents to economic growth as well as to attract talent to a place, talent to cities and retain people in cities. So again in that area there are a number of solutions which are available which I will not get into today. The third area is around health. How can cities improve using technology, the quality of health or the availability of information on health, whether it be the spread of epidemics or the health surveillance networks, to be able to proactively warn the government and citizens about any diseases that are on the anvil. Again, technology is available for that to enable a city to become smarter. The fourth area is around energy management. We all are aware of the kind of issues that are facing, that Maharashtra is facing in barring Mumbai. A lot of the rest of Maharashtra, there are issues in terms of energy. So how can technology be used? There are plenty that can be done in this area. The fifth area is around water. Water is a scarce resource over time, and as somebody said, the next world war is not going to be fought. Is going to be fought over water, possibly, if there's any world war, because that is the kind of impact that water is going to have on the lives of people. And we don't realize the commodity being scarce today, so lots can be done in terms of how water can be better managed, how pilferage can be avoided, how tampering can be avoided, how you can minimize leakages. Okay, so I'd like to spend a couple of minutes on just 2 slides before I wind up. So one is the concept of an intelligent operations center or a city command center to bring together the various city systems to be able to give the city leaders, the city department heads, an overview of all the systems that are there under them. So at a city level, for example, for the city of Mumbai, at the chief minister's level, you could have an idea about what's happening across each district in various areas, or it's only for Mumbai. You could have an idea over the crime rate at any point of time. You could have an awareness about the overall water supply situation, the energy, how much energy is being demanded and how much is being supplied. For the department heads, for example, the municipal commissioner who's looking at the water aspect, it could provide great details about area-wise what is the supply of water, what is the demand of water. Somebody at the ward level can look at more details about which are the areas within the ward where water is being supplied, where water has been denied, etc. So it can go down to the lowest level from the depending at the highest level, the chief minister's level down to the lowest level. A lot of information can be made available in various areas. So if you aggregate this across the various areas of a city, water, energy, safety, etc., it presents a great picture in terms of what the city is currently doing, what it needs. And also the other aspect of this is a lot of interrelationships that exist between the various domains can actually be managed in a far better manner. For example, a simple thing like a water overflow from a manhole, from a stormwater overflow, can have impact on the health because it can lead to health hazards, can have an impact on the transport systems because it may require a road to be blockaded and an alternate route to be devised. It may have an impact on schools because it can, if it's located close to a school and water spills into the school's drinking water supply, it can have. So the interrelations between a lot of city systems get managed in a far more effective manner using this kind of intelligent operations center for city. The last thing I'd like to talk about is the concept of smarter city planning and strategy. And I think this is a concept that's taking off in a number of cities in India. Some of us may be aware that there's something called Delhi-Mumbai Interstate Corridor that's coming up between Delhi and Mumbai, along which 24 new cities are being planned over the next few years. The first ones are already in the process of being built. We are currently engaged with one such city in the state of Maharashtra. It's called the Dighi Port City, which when it comes up will be around 250 square kilometers. That is bigger than current Mumbai. So the planning for the city is taking care of not only urban master planning, but also taking care of technology master planning in the framework for the city. So increasingly in future, we're going to see this concept taking effect where urban master planners recognize the need for not only urban master planning, also digital master planning or ICT master planning in the framework for city before it actually gets built, so that subsequently managing city becomes far easier. So with that, I'd like to conclude what I had to say and possibly hand over to the moderator. Thank you.
Thank you, Srinath. This was really fast, and I can understand how much we have lost the opportunity of understanding of the depth of the presentation. Yeah, it's our loss, but thank you for managing time very well. May I now request Mr. Daljit Singh, Senior General Manager, Maritrack, to address us.
First of all, we take this opportunity in thanking the organizers for giving us an opportunity to interact with the audience here. For the cause, which is we are talking of the e-governance initiative, and that too in the state of Maharashtra, which is regarded as the fastest adopter of technology. So we are talking about certain initiatives over here, which I will take you through first. I begin with a brief introduction about the organization. We are India's largest examination services, testing and assessment company. There are certain credentials which we would like to present to you. Ever since last 12 years when we got incorporated, we have tested more than about 20 million candidates, largely on variety of organizations or various industry segments. Primarily, there are about 350 to 400 large active clients to whom we work at any given point of time, and they include government organizations, corporate organizations, and largely universities or educational institutions. When we started off in the year 2000, typically examinations used to be in paper and pencil, which is the OMR or maybe the OCR, various technologies used to be there. But again, technology has helped in overcoming various new avenues what we have achieved. We have moved in and we have incorporated technology in various examination related matters. One of the activity which everybody must have been aware, we have seen that say online examination or computer based examination is something which has moved over the last 5-6 years or so. Meritrack has been an organization which was the early starters and spotted this trend. We proactively have done, let's say, identification of about 50,000 terminals, computer terminals, on which the test can be taken across about 180 odd cities in the country. What actually it makes is that, of course, to any organization which is looking for a large-scale examination or a recruitment-related activities, we extend that reach to nook and corners of the country where we can do and the work can be taken over from there. Some of the fast credentials, we have more than about 270 employees, and of course, technology-related certifications which we have taken. Quickly moving to the next slide, one very important statistic we'd like to share over here is, let's say we conducted one of the largest examination in India, which is the computer-based examination, wherein about 10 lakh candidates got tested in about 15 days window. That's probably the largest or single such incident where such kind of online computer-based testing would have happened. Of course, there have been many such issues where the offline testing happens, but this is something enabling the technology over here. Industry leadership, we have just spoken about various statistics over there. Today we have got test design, the question contents and all that in more than about 300 domain areas. So it covers practically all the different domains, right from the engineering, management or various pharmaceutical retails and so on, different industry segments. And again, like we are ISO 9001 and 27001 certification as far as our technology related initiatives are concerned. Now quickly giving you some statistics over here, India as a country, because of the sheer size of the population and the vast spread of the country, it becomes a very attractive market for most of the industry segments. One example which we are taking over here is the mobile phone market, let's say. Today it's about 900 plus million mobile users across the country. Most of these users are in the generation Y, we would say, people who have been kind of using this fast applications and various technology related initiatives. So that's one statistics to present to you. Another thing is like on the internet penetration within the country. Of course, like whatever this country has seen, let's say about 112 million internet users. Large part of the, I would say majority, rather about 27% is the statistic what we present over here are the audience which is there from the Maharashtra. And this has been seen as one of the statement we also read, like Maharashtra always has been the fastest adopter to the technology in various streams of the life. So that's another one area which testifies that. Okay, now a couple of examples what we have taken, like within the state of Maharashtra, there have been various initiatives, various government departments have done, enabling the use of technology in their day-to-day working. In the earlier sessions today, we saw, or rather we discussed by the other panelists, like they shared like how they have used ICT in various parts of the streams of their civic life, which has affected and made the process smoother for everybody. So these are the initiatives which we have taken from here. Another important aspect for the e-governance initiative we are talking is these are the 4 pillars of e-governance program to be successful, which people, process, technology and resources. Of these 4 pillars, what contribution we bring on the table is on the people part, because it becomes extremely difficult for an organization once you're talking of recruitment in large numbers. How do you get the right set of people with the skills and abilities, finding out among the maybe the kind of lakhs or crores of people who may be applying that. So here we come out with the examination or assessment services to the organizations, finding out and helping them recruit the right set of talent. Some of the snippets which we are sharing here is, they have been taken from the media live. There have been a lot of instances in the past where examinations or recruitment related activities, a lot of complaints or issues have been brought up in the system. And so far when the kind of complexities have been increasing, numbers have been increasing, scale has been going on pretty high, manually doing any process, it becomes very, very difficult to kind of control that. So as a step, what is next is definitely we require transformation in the examination system. What we have done, again, quickly
Mr.
moving.
Singh, excuse me, I just got an intimation that Minister will be coming very soon, so we'll have to wind up the session.
Just 2 minutes,
please. Yeah, we have 3 or more speakers to be
Please,
covered.
thank you.
Thank you.
So quickly on the online examination, these broadly the 5 or 6 features what we have said, like reliability, scalability, obviously it becomes the challenges can be overcome quite quickly over there. That's what something which we have done. It brings the transparency into the system because it is pretty clear for every candidate to see his credentials. Security and complete overallness. Broadly, the examination services, what we said, they are into 4 compartments, which is divided over here. We can say over here. These are the 4 compartments in which the overall scope of service gets divided. And today morning, a comment was made by Mr. Shri Sanjay Bhatia, Commissioner of Sales Tax, when he said like outsourcing as a model is definitely, that's a learning which he shared, that outsourcing is a model, but in case it can be given to a single agency. So that is what like the expertise which Meritrack brings on the table, that we have got the capability of undertaking the overall examination right from the first stage to 4th stage activity. So that's what activity, something which we get out of the table. Some of the quickly concluding remark, some of the activities of the organization which have enabled technology in the examination is given over there. We have got one specific example within the state of Maharashtra itself, which quickly I will share, which is the Water Resource Department in Pune, wherein we help them use the technology and overcoming the recruitment process. So quickly, I mean, not going into further details. That's what something we'd like to share.
Thank you very much, Mr. Singh. Thank you. May I request Shri Avinash Patil, Deputy Director, Town Planning, Government of Maharashtra, to address us, please.
Delegates on the dais and of the dais, I am representing the Department of Town Planning, which is part of urban development of the state. I will be just focusing one effective tool which we use as a town planning scheme, and this tool supported with IT, how it can be made more effective. Now, just at the backdrop of my presentation, I would like to say a few words that some amendments in the Maharashtra Regional and Town Planning Act are in the pipeline, and the amendments in regard of the town planning scheme, they have been submitted for the assent of Honorable President, and the bill is likely to be there in the form of the act maybe in a month or 2. Now, just I will be explaining what is the town planning scheme, so that the effectiveness of it will be known, and then how better this tool can be made more effective with that. When we talk about development plan, it's already criticized that the land which is to be acquired for a reservation, the landowner is a sufferer, whereas the man whose land is shown in the residential zone, he gets the fruits of the development. Now, to talk about this disparity, a tool called town planning scheme is there. That tool says that you pool all the land. If you have to do a planning of 100 acre, then you pool all the land, you keep with you whatever is required for the infrastructure, maybe the physical infrastructure like roads, sewerage, water supply, or social infrastructure like schools, community centers, gardens and all that, and then redistribute the remaining land to all the original owners so that nobody is dispossessed. Then everybody is sharing to the urban development equally, so that there is no disparity. This is the principle of social equity, you can say, on which this tool is based. Now, on the pattern of Gujarat, or we have gone, our amendments made by the state are far ahead than that made by the Gujarat state. In the same, there are 2 more additional things which we have put in, that in this town planning scheme, within the 40% area which you take from the owners, you can make the roads, the reservations of the development plans. Then some land can be acquired for sale of the land by the urban local body, which was not there in the earlier provision. So there is some resource, financial resource to the urban local body, through which the development can be taken by the urban local body. And another feature, that the 10% of the land could be earmarked for the people who are being dispossessed or whose structures are being affected by the roads and all the reservations. This is, I can say, a landmark amendment in the Regional and Town Planning Act, and would expect soon to be there. And if you see how IT and this is, it can be more effective with the help of the technology. Now, if you see in the amendments, the time is so shortened that you have to prepare the scheme within 9 months period. You see the content of the scheme to prepare it in 9 months, and there are 3 slots: preliminary scheme, draft scheme, preliminary scheme, and the final scheme. And the final version would be in place after 36 months, that is within, say, 3 years. So to complete the whole task within such a short period without, you can say, avoiding any legal step in between, and that too involving the public at large in the total process, is a crucial job before us. So we are planning, it's not that we are using, we are forcing that this tool, if we do or actually put it, then that this tool would be more effective. I would just keep the details of the scheme. Now, why do we need digital support for the scheme? Which had no activity. There are 80-85 micro activities to be done within 9 months. So no activity should be left. It should be alarming. It should be alarming before one day that you have to do this task next day. Then you have to achieve accuracy. How accuracy? If you have to prepare a layout, then you have to make land earmarking for various reasons. And if you have optimized the various land uses, then you could get more and more land for sale. So that could serve to have additional resource to the urban local body. That is one aspect. Second, if you carve out minimum land for the requirement of physical and social infrastructure, there will be less, you can say, discomfort, or you can say dissatisfaction to the owners. They would be happy if you take very less land for the infrastructure. Then to invoke the active participation of landowners. So we invoke the participation of landowners when we prepare the TP scheme, after we prepare and all their suggestions and objections, and after we approve it and state government approves it, to monitor it and execute it properly. Now, how this web portal can be done? It can be single point dissemination of information. Each TP scheme, we are, once the bill would be there in the form of the act, we are ready with at least one TP scheme in a district of the Maharashtra, so that there will be at least 35 schemes which we launch immediately after the act is there. Then get TP scheme calendar with milestones and schedules, online message boards for topic-based discussions, then configurable notifications for all stakeholders, auto generation of n number of notices, standard letters and forms, and there will be central contact management and a grievance redressal system for, you can say, during execution and monitoring. This one additional module which we will be introducing very important, because when we say that we have to take minimum land required for the infrastructure, you have to have a spatial analysis module. You have to have 2-3 options before you, and out of these 2 or 3 options, you have to find out which option is best suitable to the local situation, so that most of the people are satisfied with your final version, and the module which you have finally accepted has got some parameters satisfied, and the third thing, it is workable financially also. So this is JS repository which we can have. We can have auto-generated scrutiny sheets, because when we prepare any plan or TP scheme, there is scrutiny at various levels. Arbitrator is there to scrutinize, then Director Town Planning is to scrutinize, there is scrutiny at state government. So there should be inbuilt scrutiny, so that minimum time is spent in scrutiny also. Then there could be some, you can say, queries which could be floated, that how many people have the percentage of final class allotted to them at some different location as compared to their original location. How many people have opted for FSI? How many people have opted for the money compensation? How many people they are not willing to cooperate? So all this information can be made use of this software. Then financial planning module, you can have scheme costing. It can have the costing with it, list and specification of works, estimation, then land compensation. Then the TP scheme also says that the 20% of infrastructure of cost in the adjacent area is to be taken as a cost of the scheme. And when we say that it is a financial module, the scheme receipts through incremental contribution. Incremental contribution concept is its increment in the value of the land by virtue of infrastructure being put by the urban local body, and it's, you can say, it's a visualization. How an arbitrator visualizes that suppose for today the value of 1 gunta, that is 100 square meter, is say 2 lakhs, and after I provide a road and a garden in front of it, what would be its value after 3 years? So that is a judgment of a valuer, so that when this incremental contribution is to be parted by the landowner with the urban local body, what should be its extent, and if this extent is acceptable to both, then only it will work. So how to marry the receipts through this incremental contribution, the receipts through land sale, then when do you want to sell the land which is kept for sale by the urban local body. So this annual budgeting or annual financial module is to be there, so that there is proper monitoring on the finance, receipts and expenditure of the total town planning scheme, and everything is done with great accuracy and within the specified time limit. Now when a scheme is being executed, we want, though the role as a town planning department is just at the end, it ends when the plan is approved, but we just feel that if we prepare a plan which is executable, then we will be very happy. In that context, we are just forcing that with whatever town planning schemes we will be preparing, if they are executed too in time and with the spirit with which the schemes are prepared, then they would be the people would thank all of us. Then for this we say that there should be a, you can say, prototype template document, technical sanction, everything listed out will be online, saving the time as well as cost, then giving the transparency. So even the work order, the project monitoring will be there, the running account billing also will be there online. So the final bill would not be given unless the as-built drawing is given, and even the maintenance part would also be monitored, and there would be a grievance redressal system, whether any lacuna is there in the total execution of the total scheme, then that could be put in the grievance redressal system, and then that can be addressed with the vertical escalation system. Thank you. We expect that this is just our department just starting some attempts with the help of IT Secretariat and the IT Directorate under the guidance of our Director Town Planning, Sri Lange, Honorable Additional Chief Secretary Sri Benjamin Sir, Honorable Chief Secretary and Honorable Chief Minister. We are hopeful that once the Act is there with this revised version of Town Planning Scheme, it will be a, you can say, historical, it will be a milestone in the era of urban planning in the state. And if we use this tool effectively and we all come together to use this tool as effectively, the people, urban people rather, would thank us. Thank you.
Definitely, Mr. Patil. I think it was an amazing information on the urban planning. Thank you. May I now request Sri Mohan Degaonkar Sir, Chief City Engineer, Municipal Corporation, Navi Mumbai, to address us. Thank you, sir.
And of the dais. I understand that many things, so I will be trying to be brief and I will not take much time. I want to throw light on e-governance in the Navi Mumbai Municipal Corporation and the scenario which was before existing, and after this initiative, what is the today's position. So before this initiative, the corporation was having some of the models, PT and water works, PIs, etc., and works model, but they were all like islands, and we were having multiple database, multiple vendors and multiple technologies, operating systems and logging, and all were like islands and they were not talking to each other. But after Genome funds, then we went for all the 14 models as it is shown, and these are all integration of these models are done. So, and as when we adopted this new system, so we also thought of moving to a new headquarter, which is now our departments are scattered. So this headquarter will be also ready by within this year. So everything will be integrated by e-governance and by physically also. So these are some of the highlights of technical architecture You can just go through this. This is highly scalable, and we went for open source Unicode characters like that. Multi-tier architecture we adopted. So these are some of the citizen portal where citizen can easily access and get all the services of the corporation. Public interest information are all displayed. Photo galleries are there. This is Unicode we have adopted, and all the information of corporation is displayed on that. Online payment facilities of water bill, property tax are made, and all about public disclosure laws and RTI information, everything is there. Online grievance management system is also made, and all our system is GIS based. One can register through GIS and acknowledgement registration, redressal, complaint, capturing of status of complaint, and then till it is closed or resolved, and generation of necessary reports. All these things are there. So, and through this GIS based grievance system, citizen can pinpoint the exact problem where it is. And this is the structure of GIS. This core and spatial infrastructure is there, and all applications and services are designed. They can through web, they can navigate, tracking, and we are also going for city surveillance also. The same thing is also now underway. As I said, this is all grievance redressal system, property tax, water bill, works model, all are now integrated with e-governance application. This is some of the just display of all the water lines, and everything is how it is displayed and how people can get all the details of, even from these property details, they can get all the queries about their details of the property, even their bills details they can get. This is all water network. All the gardens and other playgrounds and everything are marked on, they are mapped, and people can easily access, and our attributes are there. So this is single window concept for citizen facilitation center, where almost 31 services are delivered through this. They can get all property, NOCs, birth, date certificate, licenses, trade licenses, permissions, everything, road digging permissions, etc. And we have made it bilingual, Marathi and English, both they can use. So by adopting this, you can just see that, as suggested in January, all the timelines are reduced, and we are aiming at what January has suggested. So within one year, we will be achieving that norms. This is for license, this is for trade license, and even solid waste management also, or vehicle tracking, cleaning, all the operations are also mapped, and that can be integrated to e-governance. And for works model, right from pre-tendering estimation to e-tendering, then post-tendering, and bill generating, payments, and then asset management, all things are, and MIS, all things are integrated. This is the for works management. Online payment, self-assessment, e-returns for sales, like property tax. And in town planning also, your auto plan we have introduced. So now we have come to 20 days from 60 days, and very soon we will be coming to 1 day. Within a day, we can issue the acceptance or rejection. So this is a format where they can log in architects, and this cooking can be done within 15 minutes or so, and immediately accepted or rejected, that can be communicated. And this is for budget finance audit system. This is also integrated with all the models. Payroll systems are also running through e-governance for allowances, payments, and everything. So this is some interesting aspect of GIS integrated grievance model, GIS thematic reporting, GIS integrated portal, offline online bill collection utility, Google-based and transliteration services, role-based access, single sign-on, and we have introduced kiosks also. So these are the measuring parameters. As I said, this is in writing, but I just said that we are meeting all the standards. Thank you very much.
This is amazing, sir. Thank you very much. I think your slides were speaking for themselves, and we got a lot of information with your crisp presentation. May I now request Shri Ramnath Sonawane, Commissioner, Kalyan Dombivli Municipal Corporation, to give with the session a finishing touch. Sir.
Good evening, friends. Honorable moderator of the session, all eminent speakers on the dais, all honorable guests of the dais, and dear friends. Since e-governance initiatives initiated by Kalyan Dombivli Municipal Corporation, we are the first, I believe we are the last to be the speakers. Still, I would like to thank the moderator for giving me the opportunity to be the last speaker, because you know this is IPL season and the batsman who is the last run, that is winning run, is always remembered. Dear friends, my presentation will be based on these key issues. How and what prompted Kalyan Dombivli Municipal Corporation to take initiatives in the field of e-governance. Since all of you are from the field of e-governance, you must be aware that the government of Maharashtra had taken conscious decision way back in 1998 to computerize all its departments. And the government of Maharashtra came out with a government resolution by adopting the TSP approach, the Total Solution Provider approach. The government of Maharashtra enlisted the companies which are providing services. Kalyan Dombivli Municipal Corporation in fact started computerization way back in 1995 when Dr. Chandrasekhar was our commissioner, and the computer department was established in 1995. Then in 1998 we computerized our one department, that is Octroi department. But in 1999, when the government of Maharashtra came out with TSP approach, we also established e-governance cell and then decided to adopt holistic approach instead of going for piecemeal approach as it was adopted by other urban local bodies. And our aim was to provide services to the citizens at a single touch point. We inculcate IT culture, we motivated our own employees. Whenever we talk about IT, we talk about outsourcing also. But in this case, we believe in the abilities and the expertise of our own staff. We train them, and after motivation and constant training, I think, you know, e-governance initiatives by Kalyan Dombivli Municipal Corporation are always talked about at the state and the national level. This is how we did it. Initially, we established one high power committee in the under the chairmanship of our commissioner, Mr. Srikant Singh, and under his dynamic and visionary leadership, we could achieve what we have achieved today. The high power committee, the steering committee, the expert committee, and the implementation committee. Various committees were formed. High power committee was taking policy decisions. The expert committee was constituted of people from VJTI, Dr. Mantha, who is now chairman AICTE, Mr. Mandalia, who is working with PwC, Dr. Dhamdere from IIT. So these were the members of our expert committee. And we had chosen ABM Knowledgeware as our technical partners, as our solution provider. So with the help of the experts from various fields and with the help of ABM Knowledgeware, we started business process re-engineering. All of you must be aware of one thing, that the municipal corporations are governed by various laws. There are various enactments, various rules, regulations, bylaws, government resolutions or government decisions, government circulars, government orders, government guidelines. Now, all these need to be followed very scrupulously. For that, thorough business process re-engineering was required, because whatever we do in our day-to-day office activities may not be necessarily compliant with the rules and regulations which are stipulated. Many a times, whenever you ask the worker or the employee working in the municipal corporation why and how he is doing it, he says, I do not know. The earlier man, my predecessor was doing this, that's why I am doing it in the same way. We did not believe in that. When we started computerization, we first did business process re-engineering. This is the typical example of that business process re-engineering. We have taken very simple example of birth and death. This is the legacy process. Earlier there were several activities to be done, one followed by other. We eliminated these 5 activities, and for other activities, rest of the activities also, we had reduced the duration that is required, the time that is required for the delivery of that service. And earlier, after submission of the application for birth certificate, our people used to take days and weeks together. Now, a birth certificate is available within few minutes at the CFC, at the Citizen Facilitation Center. This is a re-engineered process. These are the steps. Initially, we established e-governance cell. Then we set up that project development cell for application software development. We prepared system requirement specification report, that is SRS. Then we prepared system design document. Then the actual software was developed. After the software was developed, there was user acceptance test. Simultaneously, we started training center for our employees. After training of the people, we started the trial run in May 2002. And after the successful trial run, you just tell me to stop and I'll stop. Yeah. So this is in one line, these were the steps. This is how we achieved computerization, and the project was dedicated to the citizens on 24th September 2002 at the auspicious hands of the then Chief Minister, Honorable Sri Vilas Ramji Deshmukh. These are the documents that we prepared. I have stated it earlier. The brief feasibility report was conducted, feasibility reports, SRS, SDD, user manual, and security policy also, because it was of prime importance. These were standard templates. We identified there are about 100 plus services which are to be given to the citizens. Then time-bound delivery of services was also committed, and these color codes were used. You can just visit our website and you will come to know. This is just a pictorial presentation of a citizen earlier, and I believe the citizens look as happy as the picture is. This is how we achieved it, by eliminating the middleman in the system. These are 16 modules which are right now used in Kalyan Dombivli Municipal Corporation. Even we have GIS system. We have also adopted double entry accounting system. This is our IT setup. This is the technical thing. I must be honest and candid enough to tell you that I am not a technical person. We have 7 just to find out what we have done and if you like it, to encourage us to do further good things to the citizens of Kalyan and Dombivli. And let me state it here that the state of Maharashtra, the government of Maharashtra had taken a conscious decision to replicate this application software in 231 urban local bodies across the state. The work is in progress, and at about 60 places we are online today. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you very much, sir.
Sorry for taking too much time.
Not at all, sir. In fact, you have to do two things now. One is to give a very big round of applause to all the speakers who did a phenomenal job in a very, very precise timing. And the second thing that you have to do is to give a round of applause to all yourself for attending so very, the entire day of proceedings with so much of interest and encouragement. Thank you very much. And
I
yes,
request Mr. Vaishnav to give a token of appreciation to our speakers here. Mr. Mohan Dagaonkar, Mr. Ramnath Sonavane, Mr. Diljit Singh, and Mr. Avinash Patil. Thank you, everybody.